So, how do iRacing official seasons, divisions, and championship points work? And why is doing 5 races a week risky? Hi, I'm Damien Cross, and this is the 4X Annex, where we go iRacing. Scoring points towards an official championship can make you enjoy iRacing even more and encourage you to do better, race faster, and make good choices. Now, if you've been on iRacing for a while, you probably already know how seasons work. But to most newcomers, it can seem confusing, especially when you read the rules and notice that it mentions a 25% factor. Or you do a lot of races and see your points tally drop, or when week 13 comes around. So how does it all work, and why is it risky to do more than 4 races per round of an official championship? Before we tackle all that, let's have a look at how the seasons work. iRacing crams not 1 but 4 official championship seasons into each year. This means a year is split into 4 chunks, simply known as seasons 1, 2, 3 and 4. Splitting 52 weeks over 4 equal parts means 13-week chunks. iRacing is always improving itself, and it needs to introduce new tracks, features, cars, all that kind of stuff and get it tested. So it takes one of those 13 weeks away as a bit of a play around week before the serious championship racing begins again. That week is known as week 13, and it has its own week-long championship series, but we're not here to talk about those. We're looking at the official championship seasons on iRacing, which have 12 rounds over 12 weeks. Each round of an official championship will feature a different car and track combo. This refreshes at midnight Monday night GMT, which means the new round of the championship will always start on a Tuesday. For almost all series, the cars remain the same, but the track changes. For example, the Formula 1600 Thrustmaster Trophy Series uses the same Ray FF1600 car all season, but uses a different track each week. Some categories use a class of cars, so you can change the precise car you race each time. For example, in the GT4 Fixed Series, there are 5 GT4 cars to choose from, and you can mix and match. So one week you could be racing in a McLaren 570S and the next in a Porsche Cayman. You can even do this within a week. So you can do one race with a Cayman, one with a 570S and another in Mercedes AMG GT4. But one quirky championship is the Ringmaster Series. This one flips things around. You use the same Nordschleife layout every week, but the car changes. Another quirky series is the BMW M-Power, which changes the car and the track each time. Finally, some series are multi-class, for example the Production Car SimLab Challenge. And that has 4 classes, but each of those classes is treated like it was a separate championship. So, how do you get points for the championship you want to race in? The points you get are based on 2 things: where you were classified in the race and what the strength of field or SOF was for that race. The idea is that finishing last gets 0 or very few points, and the first place driver or team gets the highest number of points. The number of points for P1 is based on how strong the split was, aka the strength of field, which is the average I rating for that class. A higher strength of field means more points are on offer. Now, I've crunched the numbers across various series, and there is some slight variation depending on how many cars are present on the grid too. A very rough rule of thumb is that the SOF divided by 17 for a small grid, or divided by 16 for a big grid, gets you roughly the right number of points for the winner. The points for each driver after P1 are split fairly evenly all the way down until you get down to the bottom. You'll see in this example that there are around 15 points between each position, until we get right to the bottom where they both have 0 in this case, because both disconnected, so it could not decide which one of those was actually at the back. But you can imagine here, if Michael had just taken the start, done a corner, then he would have gained 15 points, and up, 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 until the winner scored 148. You'll also notice a division column here, which we'll cover later in this video. These championship points determine your score for this week's round. Had a bad race? Well, simply try again and see if you can do better. Now, you can do as many races as you like to try and get a higher score, but be careful if you decide to do more than 4 official races in one series in 1 week. Yes, this is something that people often don't understand, so pay attention. Let's look at the regulations, specifically 5.6.1.2 Part B. The best 25% of a driver's race performances based on race event points scored in a given race week rounded up to the next whole number, will be calculated at the conclusion of each ranked series race during the week. This final average at the conclusion of each race week will be the driver's race week points total and counts towards the season championship in that series. But let's break that down. Now that 25% or 0.25 times factor means we can consider races in 4 block chunks. That sentence might take some digestion. So let me break it down in real terms and use some examples here. So let's say in 1 week you enter 2 official races. You get 44 points in race 1 and 30 points in race 2. iRacing records that you raced twice. And because 0.25 times 2 is less than 1, 0.5 of course, then it considers your 1 best result. So you have 44 points for that week. Because it doesn't average the 2 races or add them up together, it just takes your best 1. Say you then do a 3rd race, and you do even better. You get 60 points, great! You now score 60 points for the week. 0.25 times 3 is 0.75, which is still less than 1. So iRacing still just looks at your 1 best result. Now, say you're feeling good and you have another go. You have a 4th race and you score just 20 points. Or no bother, you've still recorded a 60. 0.25 times 4 races is still 1. So it's still looking at just your 1 best result. But now things get tricky. When you do up to 4 races in 1 round, your best race is the only one that counts. But imagine you're not happy with those 60 points and you want to push on. Well, if you do another race, a 5th one of the week in that series, iRacing now considers that the start of a new 4-week block and will start to average your results. 0.25 times 5 is 1.25, which it will round up to 2. Remember the regulations say it always rounds up to the next whole number. This is why it averages the 2 results. Now let's say it all goes well in race 5 and you get, say, 80 points. Well, guess what? You're not getting 80 points in the championship. This is because you've done over 4 races. Remember, when you do that, it averages your top 2 results. That means it averages 60 and the 80. So you've got 70 points for that round now. Well, it's still great. I mean, it's not as good as 80, but 70 is better than the 60 that you had. So far, so good. However, imagine instead that in that 5th race, you do fairly well, but not amazing. Maybe some oiks take each other out of turn 1 and you run off trying to avoid them. You recover well. You score just 35 points. Now, as you've gone over the 4 races, iRacing is going to average your best 2. And that's the 60 you had in the bank from race 3 and the 44 you scored in that very first race of the week. So your average is based on 60 and 44, so you now get just 52 points. That's the risk of doing more than 4 races. If you do a 5th race, putting yourself into a second 4-race block, then you might as well do another 3 races if you have time. After all, 0.25 times 5 is 1.25, which will be rounded up to 2, as will 6 races, 7, and then 0.25 times 8. So you could do 8 races, just keep trying to get yourself better and better. But again, if you've done an 8th race, then really think hard about doing a 9th, because that's going to then put you into another block of 4, and what it will do is average your top 3 results. So maybe stop at 8. iRacing actually uses 9 races as an example in the regulations. Let's take another look. Example. A driver completed 9 ranked official series races during the week. 25% of 9 is 2.25, and 2.25 rounded up to the next whole number is 3. Therefore, the driver's 3 best performances in the ranked official series races are averaged together to calculate the driver's race week point. So a 9th race means your best 3 races are now averaged together, which means you might now have a lower score than if you had stopped at 8. So just bear that in mind, you have been warned. Okay, we've established that iRacing seasons last for 12 weeks, with 12 different car track combos per season. But you don't have to do all 12. Only your best 8 weeks will count towards the championship standings. You'll see that in the championship results it shows weeks counted. This maxes out at 8. If you do more than 8, it'll drop your worst weeks. This is handy if there are tracks you don't own, or you're just not very good at, or you didn't get a chance to race one week. And once you get to 8, if you do 9, 10, 11, it doesn't start average or anything like that. You might as well just keep going and trying to get a better result. It'll just drop whichever ones are your lowest and keep your best 8. As a side note, you'll also get credit for taking part in races as part of iRacing's participation bonus of up to $10 per season. You get $4 for every C or D license series you complete at least 8 weeks in, and $7 for A and B licensing. You can mix and match between road, sports, oval, dirt, etc. too. As it maxes out at $10 per season, you can earn up to $40 per year just for taking part. Now, we keep talking about official races, but what does that actually mean? Official races are the ones that contribute to your weekly championship points tally. For a race to be official, it has to have at least 6 cars taking part. It also has to be a ranked race, so look out for the ranked logo and not unranked. Bizarrely, you don't need a minimum of 6 cars in your class, just 6 in the race altogether. So say for example, you're the only Clio in a PCC race. As long as there are at least 5 other cars in the other classes, you will get an official championship result and some points based on your iRating just by driving around on your own, or just parking up. It doesn't really matter where you finish. You'll get a middling number of points based on your iRating because you weren't first, you weren't last, you just get something in the middle. So where do divisions come into play, and why are you in the division that you're in? Racing against the very best in the world isn't for everyone. So although you can check your position against everyone who's taken part in a series, you can also filter that to only show your division. So what are divisions? iRacing splits people at the start of every season based on their iRating. But depending on their iRating, you'll be put into one of 10 divisions, plus there's an extra division for rookies. The first division is for the highest rated drivers, which start the season with a 3,500 iRating or higher. Division 10 has the drivers with the lowest iRating. The rest are split into the divisions, with a bias towards having more people towards the higher end, but where they split, apart from Division 1, which is 3,500, where the others split actually varies each year. Here's an example of a recent sports car season and how many people were in each division and their approximate iRating as the season began. With divisions, you can make sure that you're comparing yourself against drivers who have approximately the same iRating as you, and so there should be a much more level playing field if you want to go for the division championship. Now remember, we looked at the results page earlier and the winner of the race had a high iRating but was in Division 3. That will be because at the start of the season they would have had an iRating put them down in the 3rd division, where they will stay for the whole season. Now before I leave you with a couple of videos I really think you're going to want to watch, I hope that you have learned something from this video and enjoyed watching it, and if so, give the video a quick like on your way out. It helps me to understand what you guys want to see, and it helps YouTube to understand what other iRacers might want to see as well. Of course, feel free to leave a comment about whether this has been helpful or if there are still some questions. And of course, if you haven't subscribed already, you can subscribe, and in your notification settings there's a bell. Set that to all, it'll tell you when I go live or put a new video up. You can see me put all this into practice when I go and race on iRacing. So good luck getting those championship points, and I hope to see you on track.